You know that saying, it's always the ones you suspect the least? Well, in my case, it was the cousin I treated like a sister. I own a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Nashville. I bought it 5 years ago as an investment property, a vacation home. Since I live 3 hours away in Memphis, I don't get to use it as often as I'd like. It's my sanctuary. It's filled with my personal books, my art, and expensive furniture I've collected over the years. Because the drive is long, I needed someone local to keep an eye on it. Enter my cousin, Sarah, 26F. Sarah lives about 10 minutes from my apartment. She's always been the responsible one in the family, or so I thought. She works as a barista and is constantly complaining about being broke, so when I offered her the spare key, I thought I was helping us both. Just pop in once every 2 weeks, I told her. Check the mail, flush the toilets, make sure the pipes haven't burst. In exchange, you can use the place for a quiet study spot whenever you want. She hugged me. OP, you are a lifesaver. I promise I'll take care of it like it's my own. For 8 months, everything seemed fine. She would text me updates, check the place today. Everything looks great. Or watered the plants, they missed you. I trusted her completely. I trusted her so much that I didn't question the utility bills at first. The electric bill is usually around $50 a month when the place is empty. In May, it jumped to $120. I texted Sarah, "Hey, did you leave the AC on?" She replied instantly, "OMG, I might have left it on 72 when I was studying there last week. I'm so sorry. I'll go turn it off right now." I let it slide. In June, the bill was $250. In July, it was $400. I called her. "Sarah, what is going on? Is there a leak? Is the meter broken?" She sounded frantic. "I don't know. I went over there and it feels fine. Maybe the city raised the rates? You know how inflation is." I felt a prickle of suspicion on the back of my neck. Inflation doesn't quadruple an electric bill for an empty apartment. Then, last Tuesday, I got a text from Mrs. Gable, the elderly woman who lives in the unit next door. I hadn't spoken to her in a year. "Dear, I don't mean to complain, but the young couple staying in your unit were fighting very loudly in the hallway at 2 a.m. Could you ask them to be mindful of the noise?" My blood ran cold. Young couple? I texted back, "Mrs. Gable, nobody should be there. My cousin Sarah checks on it, but she's single." Mrs. Gable replied, "Oh, it wasn't Sarah. It was a couple with suitcases. Just like the group of girls last weekend. Very nice luggage." Suitcases. Groups of girls. I hung up the phone. I didn't call Sarah. Instead, I opened my laptop and went to Airbnb. I typed in my apartment's address area. I filtered for 2 bedrooms. I scrolled past a few listings. And then I saw it. Chic and modern downtown Nashville getaway. Walk to Broadway. The cover photo was my living room. My beige sectional. My grandmother's vintage rug. The painting I bought in Paris hanging on the wall. I clicked the listing, my hand shaking so hard I could barely control the mouse. Host: Sarah. Status: Superhost. Price: $285 per night. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I scrolled through the photos. She had staged the entire place. She had moved my personal photos into a drawer. I could see the empty shelves. She had put a generic "Welcome to Nashville" sign on my kitchen counter. Then I looked at the reviews. There were 42 of them. Sarah was an amazing host. The place was spotless. Great location for our bachelorette party. We fit 6 girls comfortably. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. She was letting people sleep on my couch. A bit of a stain on the carpet, but otherwise great. I did the math quickly. 42 reviews likely meant at least 60 stays. Not everyone leaves a review. At an average of $250 a night, she had made over $15,000 off my property in the last 6 months. She was running a full-scale illegal hotel operation in my house. She was letting strangers sleep in my bed, use my shower, and trash my furniture. And she kept every single dime while I paid the mortgage and the $400 electric bill. I sat in my living room in Memphis, staring at Sarah's smiling profile picture on the listing. She looked so innocent. I wanted to drive down there and scream at her. But then I looked at the calendar on the listing. It was booked for this coming weekend. A plan formed in my mind. A cold, dark, beautiful plan. I wasn't going to scream at her. I was going to catch her red-handed, and I was going to make sure she lost a lot more than just her superhost status. I stared at the screen, my finger hovering over Sarah's contact info. Every instinct in my body screamed to call her and unleash hell. But I stopped. If I called her now, she would lie. She would say it was a one-time thing, or a mistake, or that she was just testing the app. She would delete the listing, hide the money, and play the victim. No. I needed undeniable proof. I needed to catch her in the act. I called my best friend from college, Mike, who lives in Atlanta. Sarah has never met Mike. She doesn't know his name, his face, or his credit card number. Mike, I said, my voice shaking, I need you to book an Airbnb for this weekend. I'll wire you the money right now. And I need you to be the most demanding guest on the planet. Mike booked the apartment for Friday through Sunday. Total cost, $650. 10 minutes later, Mike forwarded me the confirmation email. Seeing the automated message from host Sarah made me nauseous. Hi Mike. Thanks for choosing my little urban oasis. I've put so much love into this home, and I'm sure you'll love it too. I'll send check-in instructions on the day of arrival. Her home. She called it her home. Friday arrived. I drove the 3 hours to Nashville, my stomach in knots the entire way. I parked my car 2 blocks away in a public garage so she wouldn't recognize my vehicle if she drove by. I met Mike at a coffee shop around the corner. Ready? Mike asked. Let's do this. At 3 p.m., Sarah sent the check-in code. It wasn't the code to my front door smart lock. It was a code to a manual lockbox she had secretly chained to the fire escape railing in the hallway. We walked up to the apartment. Mike punched in the code, retrieved the key, and unlocked the door. We stepped inside. The smell hit me first. It wasn't the smell of my lavender diffusers. It smelled like stale beer, Febreze, and heavy foot traffic. I walked into the living room and felt tears prick my eyes. It wasn't destroyed in the sense that there were holes in the walls, but the wear and tear was agonizing. My beige sectional was grey with grime. The vintage rug was frayed at the edges. There were water rings on my antique coffee table where people hadn't used coasters. She had turned my sanctuary into a frat house. I went to the bedroom, my bedroom. The closet door, which I usually kept locked with my personal items, had been pried open. The lock was broken. Inside, my winter coats were pushed to the side to make room for an ironing board and extra linens for guests. This is insane, Mike whispered, looking at the house rules laminated sheet she had left on the counter. Rule number 1, please respect the host's property. Okay, I said, sitting down in my favorite armchair. It felt gritty. Phase 2. I had Mike text Sarah through the app. Mike, hey Sarah, just checked in. The place is nice, but the AC seems to be making a weird noise and it's really hot in here. Can you come take a look? I have asthma and need the air to be clean. Sarah replied instantly. Sarah, oh no. It was working fine this morning. Let me see if I can get a maintenance guy out there. Mike, I'd really prefer if you came. I don't feel comfortable with strangers. If you can't fix it, I'm going to have to contact support for a refund. The threat of a refund and a bad review worked like magic. Sarah, okay, don't worry. I'm actually just a few blocks away. I'll be there in 10 minutes to check it out myself. 10 minutes. I told Mike to go wait in the guest bedroom. I sat in the living room. I turned the AC off completely so the room would be silent. I placed the stack of printed utility bills on the coffee table. Next to them, I placed my phone, recording a video. I waited. 8 minutes later, I heard a key turn in the lock. The door swung open. Sarah walked in, looking annoyed, wearing her barista apron. She was holding a toolkit. Hey Mike, sorry about that. She looked up. She saw me sitting in the armchair, legs crossed, staring dead at her. She froze. The toolkit slipped from her fingers and crashed onto the floor. Her face went from annoyed to a pale, ghostly white in less than a second. OP, she squeaked. What? What are you doing here? I live here, Sarah, I said calmly. The question is, who is Mike? She looked around frantically, realizing there was no Mike. She realized she wasn't talking to a guest. She was talking to the landlord, the cousin she betrayed, and the judge, jury, and executioner of her little business empire. I can explain, she stammered, backing up toward the door. Come in, Sarah, I said, pointing to the couch she had let strangers sleep on for 6 months. Have a seat. We have some accounting to do. Sarah didn't sit. She stood there, trembling, clutching her apron like a shield. OP, please, she started, her voice high and breathless. It's not what it looks like. I was trying to make some extra money to pay off my student loans. I was going to tell you. I was going to give you a cut. A cut. I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. I pointed to the stack of utility bills. You let me pay $400 a month for electricity while you pocketed $15,000. You lied about the AC. You lied about the quiet study sessions. You broke into my locked closet. I can fix it, she cried. I'll clean everything. Just don't tell the family. My mom will kill me. I don't need to tell your mom, I said. I need to tell the officers. I nodded to Mike, who was standing in the doorway of the guest bedroom. He held up his phone. Dispatch says they're at the door. Mike walked to the front door and opened it. 2 police officers stepped inside. I had called the non-emergency line an hour ago to report a fraud in progress and requested a standby for an eviction of an unauthorized occupant. Sarah's eyes bulged. You called the cops? OP, I'm your cousin. And you are running an illegal business in a property you don't own, I said, standing up. That is fraud. And since you have a key I gave you for emergencies, using it to facilitate commercial trespassing is a crime. The officers stepped forward. Is this your apartment? No, Sarah whispered, tears streaming down her face now. But he gave me a key. I gave her a key to check the mail, I corrected, showing the officer the deed on my phone and the text messages where she claimed the apartment was empty. I did not give her permission to rent it out to strangers on the internet. I want her removed, I want my key back, and I am pressing charges for the utility theft. The officer turned to Sarah. Hand over the key. Sarah fumbled in her pocket and dropped the key into the officer's hand. She looked at me with pure hatred. You are ruining my life over some money? You're rich. You don't even use this place. It's not about the money, Sarah, I said coldly. It's about the fact that I trusted you, and you looked me in the eye and lied for 8 months. The police escorted her out. She wasn't handcuffed, but the humiliation of being walked out of the building past the doorman by 2 officers was enough. As she left, she screamed, I hope you rot in this stupid apartment. The Airbnb fallout. Once she was gone, Mike and I got to work. First, I called a locksmith. We changed the front door code and installed a camera doorbell within the hour. Then, I went to war with Airbnb. I called their trust and safety line. I provided the police report number, my deed, and photos of the unauthorized listing. Airbnb takes fraud very seriously. Within 24 hours, Sarah's Superhost account was permanently banned. They cancelled all her future bookings, sorry to those guests, but not really. Because she had violated their terms of service by listing a property she didn't own, they froze her payout account. I am currently working with their legal team to recover the earnings she made using my asset. It's a slow process, but my lawyer assures me we will get every penny back. The family fallout. My aunt, Sarah's mom, called me the next day, screaming that I was cruel for getting Sarah banned and involving the police. She was just being entrepreneurial, my aunt yelled. She was being a thief, I replied. And if you want to defend her, you can pay the $3,000 in utility overages she caused. I'll send you the invoice. My aunt hung up. The aftermath. I spent the rest of the weekend cleaning. I hired a professional crew to deep clean the carpets and upholstery. I had to throw away some linens, but the apartment is finally starting to smell like lavender again. I learned a valuable lesson. Generosity without boundaries is just an invitation for exploitation. I still own the apartment. I still visit Nashville. But now, the only person with a key is me. And if I ever need someone to check the mail, I'll hire a stranger. They're less likely to stab you in the back than family.